Yeah, no, and another big piece to it is you mentioned like then the mental strength, psychological strength, all that other stuff, but another piece to it is the ability to operate and work as a team.
Yes,
like that's what every SEAL unit ends with the word team. SEAL Team 3, SEAL Team 4, SEAL. We don't even refer to each other as Navy SEALs. We refer to each other as team guys. Like, yo, so when you hear somebody, is that a team guy? You know that's a SEAL that's asking that question. If a guy's like, yeah, I was a Navy SEAL and I know Navy SEAL Ricky, you're going to be like, that dude probably ain't no SEAL. Because we don't refer to each other as SEALs. We refer to each other as team guys, right? Yeah. And so that's another thing that weeds out a lot of guys. Because we have lived, at least I would say in the last 20, 30 years I've been around, we live in a very individualistic society and culture. Like we discussed earlier.
Yes.
We live in a society that is all about me, or just me and mine. That's why our country is so divided, because it's all about me and mine. And that's not about others. It's all about me. And we talked about how, sometimes it's not until for me, it wasn't until I was 26 that I began to realize that life isn't about me, it's about other people. And because we live in a very individualistic society, when guys show up to SEAL training and it's team-based, like, yes, we have to perform as individuals. And yes, when you quit by yourself for the most part, but it's a team-based environment. Like when you're doing log PT, you're doing log PT with 7 guys. Each guy has to carry his weight. When you're doing boats on heads, like each guy has to hold his head up erect. If not, if somebody ducks boat, you're going to jack up somebody's neck. There's been guys with fractured necks and doing boats on heads. Why are instructors using these tools? They're using these tools because they're trying to beat into us the importance of a team. It's about the guy to your right and the guy to your left. And if you operate with excellence in your role and the guy everybody else does as well, then the team as a whole is successful. And I think that that's another reason why you have a big attrition rate, not just in SEAL training, but even in other special programs, because it's not a Johnny Rambo world. Johnny Rambo does everything by himself. Yeah. You know what I mean? This in all special operations communities, it's about a group of guys being able to work together to get the job done. And so you just get a lot of guys who show up and it's hard for them to grasp that concept. And they could be the best runners, the best swimmers, the best whatever, but they just can't operate within the team. They can't rely on a guy and they can't have patience. And it's just that's where a lot of guys crumble. At least from what I saw.
It seems to me like listening to you explain that's maybe of all the skills the most important thing.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
That these guys have.
You get guys who will have gotten to third phase and they will get performance drop like the week before graduation because of that. Because throughout the entire course, we do peer evals. So every class, I think it's like every 2 or 3 weeks or whatever.
Oh, during buds.
In buds. And you'll get guys who will be, if you're consistently peered low throughout your entire tenure, and you're that guy where, people are, avoiding and, they don't want to be around, and you're just an individual, right? We have a saying in our community, individuals fail, teams survive, right? And if you're an individual and instructors realize that, you'll get to third phase, you'll graduate the island a week before graduation. They'll be like, bye. Performance drop. You're not cut out to go to a team. There's been a bunch of guys who that happens a lot. Happened to. Yeah, that's happened a lot. I think there's I don't even want to mention the guy name because I can't recall the entire story, but a well-known guy who apparently that happened to in buds. He's a big YouTuber guy, big social media guy. I'll tell you his name offline, but apparently that's what happened to him as well. But yeah, man, it's you got to be able to operate as a team.
Yeah, you guys also, on a side note here, the thing about the Navy SEALs is that the post-service community, like the Navy SEAL community, whoa, is that tight. I mean, you guys, because you all do go through like the exact same thing. Yeah. But it's such a fraternity. Oh, 100%. I mean, I had the opportunity to go to, I think it's literally called the Navy SEAL Foundation. There was a gala back in 2017, and a friend of mine who was a really high up Marine gunnery sniper who used to cover for a lot of these teams, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was. He was like, yo, I'm going to this because a lot of my boys are going to it. They were Navy SEALs.
Yeah.
And I had a chance to talk with a bunch of these guys, and I'm looking around the room, and there are people from the last like 50 years spread out. And there's just, it's hard to explain, but like people would understand if you were there. There's just a thing.
Yeah.
And I've never been in front of something that was that serious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a really special bond you guys have.
100%. I mean, I think that's what is it called? There's a term, the suffering, something about suffering. When people suffer together, they have these inseparable bonds, or when people have experienced the same type of suffering, just like, Holocaust survivors, one Holocaust survivor will meet another Holocaust survivor that they've never met in person. They've never known each other, but they'll meet like 70, 80 years later, and it's like they're the best of friends. They have this automatic bond. It's because that shared suffering. They went through that same suffering together, and I think that's what brings us together. And that's why when I was on the on the show Special Forces Fox, people asked me when I did the first season, they were like, dude, like, how many times have you guys all worked together? I was like, we ain't really worked together much. Actually, this is when I was doing the UK version of the show. They were like, man, it seems like you guys have worked together or practiced together a long time before you shot the show together. And it was like, no, we just have a similar shared suffering. We have a training that's the tip of the spear, and we all bought into it, and we all understand if I go right, so-and-so is going to go left. You know what I mean? So we don't need to have a conversation. We know how to read and react and flow off of each other. And that's why we're able to work well together, because we all have that same level of training. Same thing when it came to the Fox show. We all were able to work together, and we all worked smoothly because we all had that same level of training where we could read and react. And we know I don't need to. It's just like going on the op. You're not talking on the op. It's all like nonverbal cues. It's all, hand signals. It's all because you got to be sneaky, peeky, quiet, right? And so a lot of what we do comes from that training. We train to contingencies as well. So, yeah, man, that is that's a bond that is inseparable. I worked on the plane. So funny, when I worked on the movie The Plane, there was another SEAL on there, Pete Scoble, and great dude. His son is a super famous actor. I forgot his son's. I can't remember his son's first name, but his son's really, really good. Scoble, yeah. So he was in the Adam Project. He was in. He's the new Percy Jackson for Disney.
I don't know if I know the name. The Adam Walker Scoble?
Walker. So so Walker is Pete's son.
He's not one of the Stranger Things kids, is he?
No.
Okay, I never watched that show. It just feels like every kid who comes up was in fucking Stranger Things.
Nah, but he's a great kid, man. But when we went to go shoot plane together in Puerto Rico, it was like we had the combat scenes and all that, and it was just like, all right, we're gonna do this. We didn't have to talk about it. Like the stunt coordinator's like, hey, you should gotta do this. The director's like, it got to a point. The director's like, all right, we know he's a French guy. He's a French guy, Jean French. He was okay. I know you guys know what you are doing. Go do it. And me and Pete, we just kept shoot, move, communicate, drop, man. But like, let's do this, do that, and it all worked well together. And we all had. It wasn't no competition. It wasn't no. It was instant brotherhood. Yeah, it's like so. Same thing with our consulting company. We own a consulting company where we run pro athletes, collegiate athletes, and Olympians and corporations through mental toughness, critical thinking, team building, leadership training, all principles that we have to know in our community that translate well into business. And all the guys that I know, like they all have day jobs, so sometimes I can't find the same SEAL to go do a job with me. Like we did this big pharmaceutical company back in January, and it's like, all right, need another SEAL. All right, who's available? All right, I'm not available, but I know this guy's available. All right, boom. Hey, Ty, come do this job with me. Ty comes do the job, works flawlessly because we know, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. And so, yeah, man, I can't think of another job or another field that has that that blessing, I want to say, because it truly is a blessing, man.
Are you really tight with the guys you graduated with who became your team today?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah, they still talk to them. As a matter of fact, I had a 2-hour call with one of my boys a few weeks ago. You know, it's crazy. The conversations are so different now because it's like, dude, you know, my kids and this and that, I'm dealing with this, and my daughter's dating. And so it's so interesting because we all know each other's kids. And so it's like the conversations are different, but it's like, damn, we're getting old, man. It's so crazy because we think about, you know, being young. When you think about that time, it's like 20, late 20s, mid to late 20s in the teens, early 30s in the teens. And then another thing I think about a lot too is, you know, my teammates who passed away, like, you know, Charlie Keating and Pat Feeks and those guys, and just thinking about the fact that they never had a chance to have kids. That's something that gets me. So, you know, every time, like, it's not every time, but a good number of times when I'm looking at my kids, like, they come to mind, especially when my kids come into my office, because I have all the guys, not all the guys, but a good number of the guys who I serve with who passed away on operations. I have like a memorial wall in my office, so every day I'm seeing their faces every single day, and my kids come in the office and, you know, come give me a hug, or, you know, say they got back from school or whatever the case may be, and I look for my kids. As I look at them as they leave my office, I see that wall. Wow. And I just think about, you know, those guys who didn't get a chance to have kids, and how, you know, their sacrifice, you know, paved the way for me and paved the way for others. And so, you know, yeah, that bond transcends life and death as well.
Yeah.
You know, they still stick with you even to this day.
That's awesome you have that, though.
Yeah.
I mean, for a perspective check, you guys, it's like when you're in the SEALs, you're born into that because you know, like, you're going to be going into battle.
Oh, yeah.
Most dangerous places, you're going to know guys that don't make it back. Or it could be you that doesn't make it back.
Yeah.
And it's a heavy, heavy thing.
Yeah, man.
But what did you, when you got in, like, what was your specialty? What did they bring you into?
Yeah, so I was a corpsman. So I had already been a corpsman.
Yes.
So that was automatic for the most part. And then I was a human guy. So
human intel.
Human stands for, it's an acronym, means human intelligence. And so it was cool, man. You got to go to different schools and learn about running sources and tradecraft stuff, and you know, just being able to collect intelligence via another human being. You know what I mean? And
now, how is this? Can we dig into this a little bit? Like, how this is different from, you know, being a CIA case officer or something like that? Like, what does a mission look like to you? How long are we talking? Are you had talked to me in the car earlier about the fact that, like, right when you came in, you inherited a lot of sources, right? So there aren't necessarily right away people you have to make sources, but how are you making sources? Are you doing a lot of plainclothes stuff, you know, meetings? Like, how does it work? Yeah,
so for me, my experience, I can't really go into too much of the differences between case officers and, because I was never a case officer. I know guys who were, but I was never a case officer. I can't speak to that. I don't want to say something people like, that guy doesn't know, he's an idiot. But yeah, man, it's I think I know the differences in the agency. They refer to as assets. In our world, they're referred to as sources. In policing world, they're referred to as informants. So essentially, what I can assume for the other two is you're utilizing people to help collect intelligence for you. Right, to help get information for you that you need in order to build an intelligence package, or it might just be to find out what the atmospherics are. Like, how's everybody in this area feeling? What's the tone? Are people upset with the political climate? What's going on? Get me some you know, on the ground information, so that way I can have a good sense on how to move, or what decisions I need to how to move, what information I need to pass up the flagpole, so to speak. Right, and so yeah, essentially it's collecting information to get a job done. And the other two entities that I mentioned, case officers, DIA, as well as you know, maybe even FBI to a certain extent, they refer to them as assets, and policing world refers to them as informants. But for the most part, I think we're all trying to do the same job.
Now, how fast were you after you're in your team, you make it through, you're active? How fast were you deployed to active zones?
So I was, after I graduated from SQT, I went through a workup. So we do a workup. So you get to your team, do a workup. First part of your workup is pro dev, professional development. So that's about 3 months, right?
And what does that consist of?
That's where you go to your specialty school. So if you already have a specialization, you go that. If you don't have a specialization, then you go to you go to an advanced. So the snipers will go to advanced sniper school, guys who are already snipers. Or a breacher can go to advanced breacher school. Or if like you're a human guy, like when I got back from a deployment, I went to TSO. So TSO is like a tactical surveillance course, right? So that's what pro dev is where you're going to your school that speaks to your specialty or the specialty that you're going to have. And then after that, then you go through what's called ULT, unit level training. So your team comes together and everybody goes, you do skydiving as a team. You do diving as a team, like hitting a target. You do CQC as a platoon. You do land warfare. You hit all of these blocks of training as a team, and you're graded. Like your team is graded, and your platoon is graded. And if they don't perform well, your platoon can get disbanded and not even freaking be able to make a deployment. The head chef will for sure be fired. So it's like one of those things where you have to perform. It's not just like, oh, let's just go do this training to check a box. It's like, no, dude, you guys are going to go to war, so you better get it right before you can go do the job, right? So you're always being graded from the time you're in Buzz to the time
you're never locked in is the point.
Exactly. We have a saying in our community, earn your trident every day, right? Yep. And then after that, you go through what's called SIT. And then around SIT, that's when you kind of find out where you're going to go. And so you train as a team to that specialty, or if it's if you find out that you need more human guys or you need another sniper, because wherever you're going to go, like they need more guys to carry out sniper related operations, then those guys will be sent to those schools to fill those needs, and then you pump out.
I'm definitely going to fuck up the term if I try to go back to something you said in there, but the school you went to for yours, which was human intel in this case.
Yeah, it was another name for it, but just for this.
And it was like 3 months, you said?
No, TSO was 3 or 4 months.
What does TSO stand for?
Tactical Surveillance Operations.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you go there. Is this maybe I missed this a little bit, but did you already had, upon graduating BUDS, you already had some sort of background with human? No, this was fresh, and they said we're going to make you this.
You have to go to the school. Yeah.
Okay.
So
what did that comprise of? Like what kind?
So one, it comprises of a screening test. I can't go into details about the screening test, but it's not physical. It's not like you're doing push-ups or anything like that. It's very heady.
What about the?
It's very like
the fake phones record coming up again.
What do you mean?
When you were selling the fake phones, was that a problem?
No.
Okay, you're good at this.
I was good. Yeah, dude, for a long period of time, bro. Like every time I got called into an office, or every time like when I was in boot camp, I was sweating. I thought, all right, this is it. So that followed me for a long time, man. And it sucks, man. That's the one thing when you do wrong, man. Even when you're repentant, man, it still can follow you for a long time. And so that's,
Thank you for watching the video, guys. Please hit that subscribe button and check out this clip's full podcast episode by clicking here or in the description below.